bill? How does one understand that?
Simple formula. Get out of jail within 30 days or get out of office thereafter. So that is the intent of the bill. How it is going to be used, that the common man is very politically savvy, and he will understand that how a period of 30 days can be utilized by whoever has the power to make and unmake governments. What it has undoubtedly done is to give forces which are not political in nature, which belong either to the executive, as in the police forces, or to the judiciary, a much greater say in politics than they hitherto had. The power to arrest people and the power to keep them in prison beyond a specified deadline so that they lost political power.
But do you find the provision really draconian, as has been spelt out by many opposition leaders, that this is a draconian bill, this needs to be opposed tooth and nail? What do you think is draconian from the point of view of the opposition, and how?
I don't think it is draconian only from the point of view of the opposition. It can be draconian to any government.
But Mr. Hegde, though it's a political question, but I'm tempted to ask you only on the basis of what explanation you gave me just now, that do you see this as some kind of a design against Prime Minister Modi? Amit Shah, we do know that Amit Shah has prime ministerial ambitions, or is it like an over-exaggeration?
I don't think it is.
Hello and a warm welcome to HW News Network, your one-stop show, truth be told, for some engaging and thought-provoking conversations. Union Home Minister Amit Shah today introduced in the Lok Sabha 3 contentious bills that propose that a sitting minister, chief minister, or even the prime minister can lose their position within a month, that is the period of 30 days, if they are arrested or detained for 30 days straight over an offense that carries a jail term of 5 years or more. Now, this bill has been opposed by the opposition. It's almost like a red rag, and a few leaders who spoke inside Lok Sabha, like Mr. Asaduddin Owaisi, who said that this bill violates the separation of powers. It gives executive agencies the power to play judge, jury, and the executioner. This bill would empower the unelected to play the role of the executionary. Then similarly, Manish Tiwari also made a comment saying that the Indian Constitution says that there should be a rule of law, and the basis of that is that you're innocent until proven guilty, and this bill hopes to change that. It makes an executive agency the it makes an executive agency officer the boss of the prime minister. But is this really a dangerous precedent? If you look at the provisions, this is almost like an auto disqualification of the neta, and if he doesn't quit on the 31st day. The president, the governor, the LGs are empowered to arrest these criminal netas, and the conviction is not needed for axing the netas. So is this a sign of another arbitrariness laced in this law? Is it really setting a dangerous precedent? Joining me this evening is Supreme Court lawyer and constitutional expert Sanjay Hegde. So thank you so much for joining. And the first clarification is that there are 3 bills. There are 3 bills we are talking about. And of course, these 3 bills are under the Constitution 130th Amendment Bill. One is for Jammu and Kashmir Reorganization Amendment Bill. The other one is the Government of Union Territories and Amendment Bill. But just for the clarification of the viewers, because a lot of viewers had been asking on various programs, that are these 3 separate bills applied to 3 different kind of entities, or these are 3 different geographical boundaries this law is talking about?
No, these are 3 bills for 3 different kinds of entities, but the purposes of all these 3 bills is the same thing. These bills provide that if you do not get bail within 30 days, thereafter, on the 31st day, you cease to hold office. Since ministers and chief ministers of full states and ministers of the union and the prime minister are covered by the constitution, you require a constitution amendment bill. Since the governance of union territories comes also under an act of parliament, then that act had to be modified. And since there are special provisions for Jammu and Kashmir, for the territory which was the erstwhile state of Jammu and Kashmir, so there would have to be amendments in the Jammu and Kashmir Act. So 3 different kinds of constitutional entities have been dealt with 3 different amendments with similar content.
Right. But last year, as we had seen, Mr. Hegde, there was a huge controversy when Arvind Kejriwal did not resign from his post. A similar situation was seen in case of Senthil Balaji in Tamil Nadu. So are these 2 examples the glaring ones which might have led the government to think of a law like this or think of an amendment like this? Is this what has led to this bringing in this kind of an amendment?
I do not know what the government's thinking is, but certainly these 2 instances will be cited as having prompted the government to come out with this legislative solution. Because Mr. Kejriwal, for instance, definitely said, please show me where in the constitution it is written that a chief minister cannot administer his state if he happens to be in prison. So if there is anything which is seen as a gap in the constitution, that is being sought to be plugged by a suitable amendment.
But do you find the provision really draconian, as has been spelt out by many opposition leaders, that this is a draconian bill, this needs to be opposed tooth and nail? What do you think is draconian from the point of view of the opposition, and how?
I don't think it is draconian only from the point of view of the opposition. It can be draconian to any government.
Okay.
We've had instances in India where you had a government with a 400 seat majority in parliament, which almost got dismissed by the president of the day. I'm speaking of Rajiv Gandhi and Zail Singh.
Yes.
Now, if there is tension at that level for any reason, and a section of the executive and the judiciary were to side with the president, who wanted to get rid of a particular prime minister, then something like this would also possibly be useful. If there was somebody who could arrest a prime minister on an offence which was more than 5 years of imprisonment, and thereafter the prime minister concerned did not get bail for a period of 30 days, or was denied bail by a judiciary which thought that this was not a case where bail ought to be granted, then you could conceivably have a scenario where you would have a change of government at the center. It almost reminds me of what happens across the border. You had Nawaz Sharif, the government fall, when the Supreme Court of the day caught him out in a badly drawn up affidavit. And then said that, look, this man can no more be trusted, cannot be said to be, what is it? The word I think was Siddiq or something, which meant trustworthy, and hence is not qualified to be Prime Minister of Pakistan. So you see these questions of disqualification from office, which are normally the prerogative of the electorate and the prerogative of Parliament or the legislature, have now also come in within the realm of a policeman who can arrest and of a judge who can continue to keep the person in prison.
Okay, so it's like translating into more powers for the policemen and the judges, if this bill sees the light of the day.
And more money for lawyers, of course.
and more money for the lawyers. But you made an interesting point. Yeah. But Mr. Hegde, you said that it's just not for the opposition rule states. So if I go by the example of Chandrababu Naidu being the Andhra CM or Nitish Kumar as the Bihar Chief Minister, are there reasons to worry for them after this bill, if at all it is? Okay.
Absolutely. Mr. Naidu, you must remember, was in prison shortly before he became chief minister. Those cases are not over. And if for any other reason something turns up in the investigation which requires another arrest for any reason, all these things will happen, and you may even have motivated petitions for cancellation of bail. That can also be used. Supposing somebody is on bail and continues to be in office, and there's a petition for cancellation saying that, look, the man is so powerful, he is in office, and he has threatened me on on this occasion, and this occasion. Therefore, you please put him back in prison, knock him out of office, and only then thereafter release him.
But, already under the PMLA, ED was arresting the opposition leaders randomly. And so many times we've done a program with you. So you have a PMLA Act, which is randomly being exercised upon the leaders of the opposition. And now you have this 130th Amendment, Constitution Amendment. Is it going to be like an icing on the cake now?
Well, yes, because when you arrested under the PMLA, the sections on grant of bail were very tough and had been interpreted in a tougher manner by the Supreme Court, by a 3-judge bench. The conditions for bail said that, you had to be prima facie satisfied that the man had not committed an offense and that he was unlikely to repeat an offense. So, the Supreme Court interpreted it to mean that, you almost needed to complete a trial before you came to that conclusion. And trials in these cases take forever. So if a man is continuously kept in prison, it may not even be 30 days, it might be a couple of years. In that point of time, does he continue to be in office? This is the justification that the ruling party will propound.
Right.
But what it has undoubtedly done is to give forces which are not political in nature, which belong either to the executive, as in the police forces, or to the judiciary, a much greater say in politics than they hitherto had. The power to arrest people and the power to keep them in prison beyond a specified deadline, so that they lost political power.
But I was also tempted to ask you that why has the Prime Minister been brought into this law? Because there was a law for the MLAs, the MPs, and was there no provision for the CMs and Prime Ministers and the ministers, and which is why there was a need felt for bringing in this constitutional amendment? Because why is the removal of Prime Minister so stressed upon? Why is the removal of the Chief Minister so stressed upon? That, of course, has an example as a precedent of Arvind Kejriwal and Senthil Balaji, what we've seen. But why the element of Prime Minister has been included in this constitutional amendment bill?
Well, there could be political messaging there, but otherwise the Prime Minister also theoretically is just a minister in the cabinet ministers, but he is the head of that ministry. He is first among equals. He is primus inter partes, and his resignation amounts to a resignation of the entire cabinet. So that's a thought that did not occur to me. It's not only the Prime Minister who will get disqualified. You will have the entire cabinet also having to resign with the Prime Minister.
Absolutely.
Or going out of office, and then they will have to be sworn back in.
No,
as
so you
ministers under some other Prime Minister.
No, so you are saying that if the prime minister is removed, then obviously if he's removed, then the entire cabinet also falls automatically.
Yes,
Okay.
it will. It does.
But can I ask you one thing? It may be allowed thinking, but it's just a little doubt in my mind, which is why I want to clarify that uh, putting this in context with Prime Minister Modi, we already know that he's not held a parliamentary meeting of his own MPs. There's a lot of resentment within the BJP over Prime Minister, over the conduct of the Prime Minister, how he functions, how he operates. And now, since Amit Shah brought in this bill, can this bill in any way hold Prime Minister Modi guilty at some point of time? Not really.
See, the bill can't hold anybody guilty. But can the bill be used in any set of circumstances? I told you how a powerful prime minister like Rajiv Gandhi.
No, so I'm asking that can this bill also be used against the current prime minister?
Yes, if it is passed, and becomes the law, if the constitutional amendment goes through, yes, why not? So supposing, I'm just giving you, creating a hypothetical scenario. You have a prime minister who's been in office for a long time. People are tired, or for any reason people feel that it's time for the person to go. The person is not going. Then it can be likely that a convenient super cop be brought in, a case be built up, and if there is an arrest.
But Mr. Hegde, though it's a political question, but I'm tempted to ask you only on the basis of what explanation you gave me just now, that do you see this as some kind of a design against Prime Minister Modi? Amit Shah, we do know that Amit Shah has prime ministerial ambitions, or is it like an over-exaggeration?
I don't think it is. I don't think, given the current times, that there is any a great malevolence or great forward planning of that kind. That is very unlikely. The proper logic is that you see when ministers are being sought to be removed and chief ministers have to be removed, you can't keep only the prime minister's office out of it. Because as I told you earlier, the prime minister is also a minister. So, yes. So what is sauce for the goose has to be sauce for the gander.
But why is this bill almost like a red rag for the opposition? What are the inherent dangers? And do you see centre using its powers to come on the opposition ruling states? Which is what Abhishek Manu Singhvi also tweeted. And many other leaders have spelled out similar sentiments.
Yes, because see, most of the agencies are under the guidance and control of the centre. Whether it is the CBI, whether it is the ED or anything. Now, those are the agencies which normally are used to arrest politicians. Now, while ruling parties, where it's the same ruling party at the center and the state, there may not be friction. But where there is a friction-driven relationship between the center and the state, and where there is an opposition party in power in the state, there will be great temptations for the center to use this avenue as well. Say an important state like West Bengal, which is going to the polls. And where the state has defied the center for now 3 elections going continually. So if the center says, no, it is time that there is double engine everywhere and that there is an alignment at center and state, how do we achieve that except by knocking off the great regional parties? Then these provisions, if brought into force, will be most useful.
No, but do you see this as a multi-pronged approach which BJP is adopting? Weeding out the regional leaders through bills like these. Then you have a one nation, one election, which again marginalizes the regional parties further. Do you see this as a multi-pronged approach which is being deliberately adopted by the ruling party so that it can continue as an Ajar Amar Pradhan Mantri or as an Ajar Amar party being as BJP?
Well, I don't know what their political ambitions are, and I'm tempted to quote what Vinoba Bhave said during the declared emergency, that it can't be an emergency.
Mm.
So nothing is amar. Nothing is amar. But the possibility of any party at the center using this at against a party which is in opposition to it, but in power in the states, to destroy that party's control over that state government, that is very, very likely. And opposition parties in the state, towards the end of their term, about to face elections, can be very, very vulnerable in of a popular chief minister, or to deprive the party at the state level of any incumbents advantage. You know, if you bring down the government and you, for a few months, you have president's rule, then the decisions at the ballot also sometimes change.
But isn't it very interesting, Mr. Hegde, that this bill is coming at a time when Bihar elections, of course, are just around the corner. So forget Bihar. But next year, the states which are going to polls are Kerala, Tamil Nadu, West Bengal. All these three are opposition ruling states. So are there dangers lurking behind, as far as these states are concerned? And deliberately, the timing of the bill is such that it can be suited to coincide with the elections there.
Yes, because you see, the bill has now gone to the select committee. By the time the select committee does its work and sends it back, it would be time for it to be in the winter session of Parliament, for instance.
Yes.
And the elections are only thereafter. The elections in Kerala and all are thereafter. So this is a government which, when it comes to the planning of legislation, thinks not only in terms of sessions, but in terms of the years ahead. So whether there is any particular plan to bring down popular or strong and persistent regional forces who are operating in one or two states and to replace them with national forces is something that only time will tell.
But also, why forget the BJP ruled states? Now you have popular chief ministers like Yogi Adityanath, who obviously are not on the same page as the prime minister. It's a well-known fact. Then maybe somebody like Shivraj Chauhan, who was seen as prime minister's competitor, but in the yesteryears, he was the chief minister of Madhya Pradesh. So can BJP use this law for its own ministers if it intends to oust them as well?
Well, once you do it for the opposition, you can very well turn on your own people also and then say, look, I have acted the same manner, whether it was my chief minister or any other chief minister. So yes, in terms of possibly undoing the federal nature of our polity and of weakening the states, this bill will certainly have these propensities,
right,
in a great measure.
So chances are high that this constitution amendment bill might be challenged, because if you're saying it's an attack on the federal structure, it aims at weakening the political parties, especially the regional forces. So I'm sure these parties will approach the court. They will challenge the amendment.
Well, if those parties don't challenge, somebody or the other will challenge. But constitutional amendments can only be challenged on the grounds that they break the basic structure of the Constitution or they destroy it in some manner or the other. which part of the basic structure, that would require quite some thinking.
But I'm
Because-
sure the bill has just been uploaded on the Lok Sabha website, and one will have to read and see. But prima facie, like whatever you've seen so far, does it seem to violate the basic structure of the Constitution in any way?
Well, you see, lawyers should not give advice in public where later on they might have to take one position or the other.
All right. All right. So my last question to you, sir, is that so what is the biggest takeaway from this 130th Constitution Amendment Bill as a common man would understand? Forget the political parties, of course, out of politics, and about the larger issues they've raised already inside the parliament. But from a common man's perspective, how does one take this Constitution Amendment Bill? How does one understand that?
Simple formula: get out of jail within 30 days or get out of office thereafter. So that is the intent of the bill. How it is going to be used, that the common man is very politically savvy, and he will understand that how a period of 30 days can be utilized by whoever has the power to make and unmake governments.
And I'm just repeating myself with that same question which I asked you, that this bill can be used against Prime Minister Modi, it can be used against the BJP allies, its own allies, and it can be used against the BJP chief ministers also.
It can be used everywhere. The question is, in whose hand have you given that power? Obviously, the power lies in central hands, so it is much less likely to be used against the center itself. But every state level politician who does not ally with the center might be at risk.
Thank you so much, Mr. Hegde, for joining on HW. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you.